with EBS Paint, and I'm going to do a new character, Rigor Sitrom, which is a completely different character. He doesn't have eyes, and he is inspired off of Huggy again. But I wanted to make a bad guy for the comic series I'm working on that is never going to be shown to YouTube, but I wanted to kind of give a tutorial of how to do fur real quick, especially when you're dealing with a white background, because as you notice, I usually do black backgrounds because, well, it helps to see where I need shading. White backgrounds are much harder, much more difficult. So what you want to kind of start with is a base, and you don't want your base to be the color that's going to be that's going to be the color over the thing. Over your base. Practically your base is a lighter color, and it's going to be your lightest color. Now, I could go for a lighter gray, but since I have all these other darker grays I can use, I'm going to just use this gray. And so what I'm going to do is make a base. He's got a more taller head stance that I want to give him. Kind of want to smallen that out because I do want to fit his entire body in this picture. So you want to make sure your base is fully colored in too. You don't want any of the background showing. So yeah, I actually don't need that second layer right now. I tend to do that where I make second layers when I don't need them yet. Anyways, here we go. And now what you want to do is draw the rest of the body. I'm just going to do that real quick. And so what I want to make clear is that you don't necessarily have to use the airbrush tool for this, but I prefer to. I prefer to use the airbrush tool for this. Now what I'm going to do is that if you want it to be, since you have like overlapping pieces or something, what you want to do is probably shade around those areas real quick on your base on the same layer. You can do it on another layer, it doesn't matter, just you're going to need to merge them later on. And so you want to shade where your dark areas are. Because to be honest with you, I don't really think when you merge the layers of your fur with it, it's going to look very well with it when you go on to make it. Now this stuff right here, don't really need it to be as fuzzy because I'm trying to make his hair kind of look coarse or whatever fur types there are. But my specific thing I'm going for right now is coarse, which is like more rough looking. Now this is a far away leg, so I'm just going to shade it all the way. However, I'm going to leave these parts really dark. You also want to know where your light is coming from. Sometimes I have trouble with that, where I don't necessarily give a goal for where my light is coming from, and so then my shading's like all over the place. But for here, I'm just going to shade around here. I'm also going to put, since they're kind of toy-like, I'm going to put stretch marks around here, around like the bends. Since obviously there's going to be bone in these living toys, might as well put some stretch marks around here. And there you go. There you go. That is our base. Now, if you want, you can put the hands on another layer. The color of hands I want, to be honest, would be this color. And yes, I am going to put it on a different layer to make it easier on myself. This is his black version. His character design isn't completely determined yet, because I'm having voting done on that. So this is his black design, which I personally would vote for, but I don't have a choice in the voting. I don't put my choice into the voting. And what you want to do is take a darker color here. And not that, I mean, we could choose that. But more preferably, you're going to just probably take the other color and darken it. There we go. There. Ta-da. Now we have both bases for the hands and that. Now what I'm going to do is merge those two. And what I like to do is I like to actually keep my base. I like to actually keep my base. You can see all my other art here. I like to actually keep my base and just duplicate it. See, it saves the time, it saves the drawing thing, saves everything, so you don't have to worry about that. So, now what I like to do is make another layer and make the face. Now, for the face, I actually have to get out my designs for, because, well, the designs aren't completely determined yet. I do have design of the face on paper, and so here we go. This makes things easier. Now, you don't have to worry about eyes because he doesn't have any eyes. But what I also like doing, oh, not that. Don't like doing that. What I also like doing is making another layer, put that layer underneath that, and do this. There you go, now you have a mouth. Now you can make the inside of the mouth any color you like when you're practicing, of course, with any kind of character. I mean, you don't even have to do this. This is just how I do fur in general. I've done a way to do it on Animal Jam. I've done all of that. But this is how to do it on EPS Paint. Fur is pretty easy. You can even go to here. If you scroll down a bit, there are fur brushes that you can get for watching an ad. So you can do that too. It doesn't really matter how you do it. But how I like making my things fuzzy is using the airbrush when you don't want to have to watch an ad to get those brushes. You don't even have to. You could just use the airbrush, which is going to take you a longer time, yes. But I prefer this way, so I don't have to watch an ad. And it makes it much easier. And yes, I am on a phone, as you can probably tell. And so yeah, I usually like doing the teeth with sharp angles, obviously. I might add a few teeth here and there because I don't want his teeth to be perfect. I want them to kind of be messy and gnarly. And he's not going to have an extra set of teeth. Maybe. I'll think about it. Now you just gotta color them in. Voila, you have realistic teeth now. I mean, they're not realistic, yes, but I like using the airbrush. I colored them in. As you can see, there are still some black splotches here and there. But I like leaving those. So what I like to do now is I don't yet merge these two. No. I don't yet merge that. I take this, I take a darker color, like a brown or something, and I shade. And you make your teeth any color you want. Like I said, you don't even have to do these kinds of characters like I'm doing. I don't know how to teach how to draw, but I know how to teach other things rather than that because I have my own style. Yeah, I don't know really how to teach other people to draw in my own style when everyone's got a unique style. Everyone's comparing their art to mine or like someone else's, like, oh, I want to draw like them. Well, guess what? You can draw like them, but you have to kind of like develop the way how they draw. And that's not an easy process unless you're really good at copying. However, you can also just practice your own style and make your own unique style that's inspired off of someone else's style, which is kind of like how I go. But you don't necessarily need to get into the specifics of knowing that. You could just draw whatever. Art is art. Just go over the bottom of this real quick since I did that. Just a little bigger. There. Ta-da. Teeth. Now, take a lighter color like white, give it some opacity, and go over it. Now why I'm doing this is that it gives the teeth some sort of shine. Ta-da! Look at that. Now, you want to take some black now. And yes, I mean the color black. And you want to give it kind of a smaller edge to it. And then go back in there and do some more shading between your brown. Or whatever color you used for your teeth. The darker color. You want to go around that. You want to go in between those two. Now, I can already know this is going to be a long video by the time it's taking me to show you all this stuff. I would speed it up, but I like going through the process of showing you where you need to go between. Because sometimes I'll like skip edges like this, where I don't do the top. Because I usually just do that last. Or I just don't do it at all. Now this, having these little details in here, like smaller bits of shading, will really help things pop out. Having darker lines really help things pop out, like a lot, but sometimes having darker lines makes things blend in a little too better. Too much, not better, a little too much. But having darker lines between teeth help you see where the teeth end and help you see where the teeth start as well. Look at that. There you go. Those are some teeth, some gnarly teeth. Now what I want to do is actually merge these layers, but not with the lips, not yet. Now with the lips, you might want to take a lighter gray or whatever color you have for your character, if your character even has lips. You want to kind of go over the top. And then go over the bottom with it. And then you take a darker color. Give it some opacity. Go around the parts where the bottom lip is kind of out. Go around the top. Now I like to go over with a little bit of white as well, just to give it more of a shine. And then same with this, like you can give these, and give this a little shine inside the mouth. But leave the middle dark. There. There's the mouth. I'm going to merge those layers to the base. No, not to the base. You don't want to merge that to the base. You do want to merge them, though. They're going to be on their separate layer, though. Now, abs. Okay, so now, after I've done that, I like to duplicate it again. I like saving my art. And I've done this with Huggy too, in a way, where I did it multiple times before fluffing it out. I attempted Carly. It was gonna look like this. I did it wrong. And so I had to fix it. And so I've duplicated it now. And now it's time for fur. And what you want to do for fur is go by the next color up. So we started with this, right? You want to make this a little thinner. And so we started with this color, right? We want to take something a little darker and go over with that. You'll see why in a second. This is why I use airbrush. This is a new technique I've been doing, and it works really well. It just takes a while. What I used to do on Animal Jam was put a couple of shading in other areas and do different greens and all that stuff because I would do a lot of realistic zombies. Now, with this, it's completely different because you want the fur to go in the same direction that it's standing in. Now, if it's wet, I have no idea how to do that. Not yet. I've never practiced that. I'm going to later on. But this is a simplified way, and this is why I keep the layers separate. So then I can just go underneath it without having to worry about it accidentally being combined. He kind of looks like Benny in the Ink Machine, I will say. Which is kind of like where I kind of got the idea without the eyes from. But I do have a lot of eyeless characters. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to have one of my own kind of things that looks like a eyeless Huggy in a way. I also tend to make the duplicates, so then if I do mess up on one of them, I can just delete it and then reload one of the last ones and duplicate that. There. And now you will also need another layer, okay? Which will have a darker color in it again. I usually do 3 darker layers. This is what I do. And then I increase the brush size, depending on what kind of fur I want to come out. And don't worry, I'll get some black fur in as the last layer. But once you have all 3 of your layers, then you can either duplicate it or just use one. I usually like duplicating stuff, as you can tell, because it shows my process better. Getting the last of this layer on. And there. And so, practically, it's simple, but not everybody will get it. And final layer, just the black, which I'm just keeping the same size. I could make it a little smaller if I wanted to, give them a little smaller black, but okay. After I get this layer done, I will be back. And ta-da! Now we have our 3 layers of fur. And I forgot a layer of fur on this side. So we're going to go back to one of our darker grays here. And do that real quick. Good enough. And now, what I want to do is duplicate it, just for the heck of it, and then we'll go into here and merge our 3 layers of fur to our base. Just like that. Okay, after you have merged your 3 layers, what you want to do is take the smudge, okay? You make it any size you want, okay? You can blur, you can do all that. But I like to make it a simple size. And then I'm going to start fluffing it out. Look at how much fluffier here he's already looking. So you want to do this for all of it. Now, the way the fur is bending, you want to kind of smudge it in that way. So if it's going down, so if it's in between the arms, you want to kind of bend it down. If it's sticking out, you kind of want to stick it out. You don't want to do this, where you're just holding down your finger. You kind of want to like carefully drag your finger across every once in a while. Like if you're scrolling on the sides for that. Just to get that fur-like feeling. Or look, I mean. And ta-da. Now you can go back in and do your shading for where, if you remember where your bend marks are on your character, you can go back in and shade that. You can go back in and make your bend marks again. Like I can kind of see some of mine and where I left them. This one is completely smeared now. You can't even see where they used to be. But that's all you really have to do, and now that's what I'm going to do. And voila, he is now fluffy. He is now fluffy. Now, what I want to do, though, is to give him a little bit more flair, is more shading, and all that jazz. We're going to give him some more shading. Most of the stuff you can really do is give your character a little more shading here and there. And basically what I want to do with the hands now is shade the hands as well. So I'm going to go down here, take this color, lighten it a bit, put the opacity down, and shade his hands. Make them look a little more blue. Take some white maybe. Do a little bit of that. Take some black. Go around the edges here. And there you go. Merge those. And there you go. All done. I say he looks decent. Wouldn't say perfect, but decent in this design. I am leaning towards more of the red or the purple, like someone else suggested. One of my friends suggested purple fur, and I was just like leaning more towards that. But the only problem is that, well, one of my other characters that are in the comic are kind of purple, so I don't know how that's gonna fare well with everyone getting confused who's which. I mean, no one's probably gonna get confused with him because, well, he doesn't have eyes. And he's only got a mouth. So yeah.